You, our listeners of Channel 6, elected Irma Leal, Mrs. Jesse Leal of Muleshoe, as our 2016 Mrs. Santa, and we're just now getting to interview her because Irma had extensive surgery, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did, and I was out for about a month, and then when I had my other appointment, with the Megan and Gil Robert, well, my hand swelled up real bad with arthritis, so I had to postpone it again. So now we're here together, and I'm real happy to be here.
Oh, well, congratulations to you, Irma Leal. And did you know Dora Triana nominated you?
Yeah, she told me she had, and I thank her for it. I sure did.
Sure.
Yes.
What an honor. And also, we had nominated Eva Neal Dale and Rosa Ray and Rowena Myers and Irma Leal, and you got the most votes.
Well, thank you so very much, and I want to thank everybody that voted for me. I really appreciate it, and it was a surprise, and I was all excited, and I'm sorry, like I said before, I couldn't be available at the time, but here I am today.
Right, that's all that counts. Now, you know, Irma, we have been doing this ever since we went on the air with Channel 6. And that was in 1980. And our first Mrs. Santa was Gladys Wilson. And boy, I know you knew her.
Yes, I knew Mrs. Wilson for many years. Her and Kathy would be our first customers every day at the restaurant. We took real good care of them.
Yes, you certainly did. And then there was Lorraine Pagash and Ruby Garner, Alice Kelton, Margie Hawkins, Lois Washington, Helen Hall, Ethel Murray Garlington, Katie Rubinek, Polly Otwell, Joy Stansel, Hazel Reeder, Donna Shaw, Dawn Williams, Betty Griswold, Gladys Black, Mary Jo Burge, Thora Baker Neiman, Barbara Milburn, Clydetta Mitchell, Velta Faye, Joyce Wright, Annie Floyd, Amelia Madrid, Lois Killingsworth, Inez Garza, Ann Sinclair, Laverne Wynn, Bonnie Carpenter, Barbara McCamish, Raquel Bastias, Ann Williams, Sylvia Castorina, and Irma Leal. And so you're in good company.
Yes, I sure am. I know all those ladies, and they're beautiful people, too, and I'm glad they got nominated at the time.
Yes. And so Irma Leal gets a gift from K&K Pharmacy, and it's a gift basket of all of the wonderful things, not everything that they carry there, but isn't that nice?
It's real nice, and I thank K&K for doing this for me. I really appreciate it.
I'll put it over here.
Okay.
And then from the Dinner Bell Cafe, you and Hector can go out and have a meal on the house.
Well, that'd be nice. Somebody else cooking instead of me.
Absolutely. From the Dinner Bell Cafe. And then we have a gift for you from Channel 6, and it's a pretty cross.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Megan and Gil Robert. I really appreciate it, and it's real nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Now, tell me, Irma, what year did you and Jesse, your husband, come here?
We came in November of 1955.
And so, were you married?
Yes, we just got married. Our honeymoon was coming to Muleshoe.
Oh, really? Yes. So, where did you grow up?
I grew up down in South Texas and in Mercedes, Texas, in the lower Rio Grande Valley. Yes,
and did you go to school there?
Yes, I graduated in 1950.
And from Mercedes High
School.
And now, who were you then? Irma what?
Irma and Salua.
And so you had a brother who lived here in Muleshoe.
Yeah, my only brother, Noe and Saldua.
But you had sisters also.
I had two sisters. Both of them are deceased. They're Mrs. Josefina Marroquin and Guadalupe McElveen.
And so when you came here, how old were you?
I was 23 years old.
23 years
yes.
old and a bride.
Yes.
Now, why did you come to Muleshoe, though?
Because Jesse was managing the Bracero Association for Grace Benton at the time.
Right.
And we were coming for 3 months because he was going to close the books and we are going to go back to the valley and he was going to go to work for a broker, Mr. Paxton, I think was his name. But then I liked it here so much. Mrs. Curdy Wagner was my landlady, and we just got along beautifully, and she treated me like a daughter, and I loved everybody that I met. Mrs. Wynn from the Valley Motel, Mrs. Stewart, Mrs. Mourner Wagner, and Mrs. York. And all those ladies gave me a little shower for Hector when I came back from the valley. That I had my firstborn, Hector, and they had a little shower for me.
So you went home to have
To the valley to have Hector, Alma, and Victor. They were born down in the valley.
those are the oldest three.
Yes, it's a Hector, and then Alma, and then Victor.
Okay, now when did you actually start the restaurant? Or really, it wasn't the restaurant; it was sort of a tortilla factory.
It was a tortilla factory, and when the Brazils were here, of course, we made the Spanish barbecue and the menudo and tamales and things like that. And then we had people asking for enchiladas and tacos. And your daddy used to go, and your mama used to go, and you used to go when we were in the east part of town. And you're still with us. Thank you very much, Megan.
Well, you're welcome very much.
And that's where we started. And then Mr. Linderson, in 1968, he offered us the restaurant that's on American Boulevard. You know, that where we were
On the west side.
on the west side of town. And we moved there in 1968, and then we stayed there until 1992, when Victor came and took over. Yes, because Jesse was very sick at the time and couldn't work anymore.
Now, where was your first location?
Our first location is where Aguirre's Tar Shop is. It was Mr. Parker's, I forgot his first name, property, and it was the building that's sitting first, and then it was a long building built on the way on the back, and that's where we rented. Where we started with the tortilla and
what, on the weekends, would you serve the braceros?
yeah, they would come to town and we'd serve them the barbacoa and the menudo and the tortillas. Our priority was the tortillas at the time, and then we combined it with the Spanish barbecue and the menudo and the tamales. And then one thing led to another. Well, why don't you make, the farmers would say, well, why don't you make enchiladas, and why don't you make some tacos? And
Because the bracero would be out on the farm working, and they didn't have a way to town, so the farmer who he worked for would bring him to town.
yeah, we'll bring them to town on Saturday and Sunday. And of course, there was the movies going on, and they would go to the movies, and they would eat with us and buy the tortillas and buy the groceries from Cashway and different places. And the program ended in 1962. The Bracero program ended in 1962.
Was Jesse still working for Grace Benton at the bracero?
At the time that he changed jobs was when he started working for Mr. Barber at the depot.
And what did he do for Mr. Barber?
He was an apprentice operator, and when he got promoted to an operator, he wanted to. I mean, they had the choice he had was to go to Slayton. We had to move to Slayton, and we didn't want to move from Muleshoe. So for a long time that I came here, when I first got married and came here, and I used to help at the D&G because the association was in the back part of the building. And I would see how they would buy the tortillas and everything. And that's how I grew up down in the valley. My daddy had, since 1928, a little tortilla shop. And that's where I learned about making tortillas. And then I came to Muleshoe, and they were not fresh and even canned tortillas.
Really?
Yes, they were vacuum packed, And I said, if I only had a little business like Daddy had in Mercedes, and of course, Jesse had his jobs, and I was pregnant with Hector. And Jesse says, we don't have the money, and we just can't do it. So when he got promoted and had to move to Slade, you know how you have to have seniority. And he didn't want to move away from it, and I didn't either. So that's when we started the factory. That's when he told me, would you still consider your little molino that to grind the corn and all that? And I said, yes. So he didn't finish. I wrote Daddy a letter and told him what our intentions were. And the first person that made Daddy his tortilla factory, Mr. Garcia, made us our tortilla machine to bring
Really?
from the
Really?
valley.
The very first
Yeah, the
one?
first one.
And so now that was what, about 1957 or?
Yeah, we started. Yeah, Mr. Garcia brought the machinery over here. We got started on May the 4th of 1957 at 11 o'clock. We start rolling our first tortilla.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a history. And so how long did you stay in that first building?
We stayed, let's see, we started in 57, and I think we stayed there about 2 years. And then Mr. Millen had a vacancy where he had his grocery store. I mean, there was a grocery store there, and it was his building. And Jesse talked to him about renting it to us, and he said, yeah, go ahead. And we made arrangements and moved over there. And then we stayed there until 1968 that we moved to the American Boulevard place.
Out west. So you went from the east to the west.
The Farm Bureau is situated now. Yeah. Yeah.
And Julie DeBruin has an insurance agency in there. And now, did they still have the food pantry in the building where?
They still do. Victor had let them use it, for that purpose. Yeah, since the food pantry came about, that's when they've been there in Victor's building.
And now, tell me about your family today. How many children do you have?
I have 6 children.
How many grandchildren?
21 grandchildren and 25 great-grandchildren, and 1 more coming.
Isn't that wonderful? And so now, tell me about your children and where they live today.
Okay. Hector is here with me. And then Alma is in Lubbock. She has a little tamale place where she makes enchiladas, tacos, and orders to go. And then she has a few tables there. Her husband passed away in September. And but she still kept it open, and she's there with her sons, Matthew and Victor, that helps him. And sometimes Nicky, when he's in Wichita Falls, and when he has a break, going to university there, and during a break he'll come and help her.
And her husband was Tony Jaramillo from Muleshoe.
Yeah, Tony Jaramillo from Muleshoe. And they had 4 boys. Reggie is in Denton, and Victor and Matthew are in Lubbock. Matthew's going to school to Texas Tech to get his doctorate degree. And then Nicholas is in Wichita Falls going to Midwestern University, and he'll finish this year.
And Alma went back to school.
Oh, Alma went back to school and got her master's in finances. Yes.
And so who's next?
Victor. Of course, Victor was a mayor here in Muleshoe, and then he has this we sold the business to him and Debbie, and they're in Amarillo now. They have 2 sons. Roman, who has his coffee shop. He grinds his own coffee and toasts and everything from all over the world. And then Noah is in France. He's going to school in France. And then Laura, she has 2 restaurants in Clovis. And of course, Victor married Debbie Deering from Mississippi, and they met in Monahans when they opened the restaurant there. And then Sergio, he runs the tortilla factory, and it's a preacher. It's a priest, and he has five children, 2 girls and 3 boys. And Eli is going to Angelo State, and Elisa graduated from school, then went to college, and then she got married and has 2 boys and a girl. And then
Brand new little girl.
Yeah, a brand new little girl. And then Jesse's graduating this year, and then Luke will be a sophomore, and Gracie will be a freshman. Yeah, and
Next year, Grace.
yeah, a freshman. And then Abel has 4 boys: Mason, Ethan, Nolan, and Andrew. And Mason is going to Texas Tech, to law school. And Abel is a lawyer in Dallas. He practices there in Dallas. His wife, Marcy, is a registered nurse. Of course, she's now not working since she started having the family. And they're doing good. They're in Dallas, Texas. And, of course, I don't get to see him very often, but he calls pretty much and keep in touch.
Now, you didn't tell us about Hector's children.
Oh, Hector's children, he has 4 girls and a boy. And it's Heather is the oldest. And she has a restaurant in Plainview. Well, she has 2 restaurants in Plainview, but one is Mexican food and the other one is a sandwich shop. And they have a son, Christian. And then they adopted a little boy. His name is Levi. He's going to be 3 years old. And then...
Now, isn't she going to open a restaurant in Lubbock also?
I think so. Is it this year, Hector? I think about this year they'll start working on that. And then Libby's in Muleshoe, and she has 5 girls. And then Natalie has 3 girls and a boy, a little boy. She finally had a boy. And she's in Amarillo, managing the restaurant for Victor. Yeah, in Amarillo. So.
And the youngest 2.
Oh, Lady Bird and Trip Hector Leal Jr. Mm-hmm.
And so
going to school. Trip will be graduating this year, and Lady Bird is in the 9th grade. She'll be a sophomore.
Well, you did really good. I mean, that you get an A double plus.
Well, thank you.
I couldn't do that well. You got through all the children and grandchildren, and I hope we didn't leave anybody out. Do you think we did, Hector? No. You really did. So, Muleshoe's been good to you.
Oh, I love Muleshoe, and I had a chance after Jesse passed that Mother come stay with me here. Of course, I stayed a year with Laura, and then of course I wanted to come back and be in my house and be here with my friends, Emily. You know, Sergio was here, and I just wanted to come back to Muleshoe.
Well, and you didn't mention about Tracy, who lives here.
Oh, Tracy's Sergio's wife, and they're the ones that have the tortilla factory, and they have the 5 children.
And Sergio's on the school board.
Oh, Sergio, my son is in the school board too here. He's been at about 5 or 6 years that he's been in the school board.
When the Catholic Church was just opening here, in fact, I don't even know if there was a building. I always understood that you all were so good to help them and have big dinners. And tell me about that.
Well, when the first church was built in 1956, then they needed a speaker service, they needed carpet, and they needed what was the other? I forgot what other. The air conditioner, I think. And we started selling tickets, and your daddy helped us a lot with that, and you all helped us a lot advertising. I didn't know how many. I didn't have but 4 plates in the place, but we managed to sell a lot of tickets and mostly to go. You know, people would take them to go, and we did it 3 times, 3 different times, and Father Cochran was here at the time. Father Cochran. And I'm sorry, he passed away about a year and a half. He was in Panhandle and he passed away. Yeah, but he helped us a lot with the dinners and selling tickets and all that. So we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. One thing I remember when I was growing up, and we would go down to the building that Bill Millen, the warehouse down there to eat. Well, Irma was always pregnant. She always was expecting another baby. And so, anyway, she was the hardest worker that you ever knew. I mean, she rolled those tamales, and she worked hard through every baby.
Yeah, I worked up until the last day. They were almost born there in the place.
And also, I'll tell you something else. My mother loved Mexican food. And when we moved to Muleshoe, well, there wasn't any place to eat. We had come from Tahoka, and really there wasn't anything in Tahoka or Lubbock either. And but she had lived in Austin several times, and she learned to love Mexican food. And so she wanted Irma to make guacamole salad. So we would go to White's Cashway grocery store and get the ripest avocados and take them on Saturday down to Irma, and she'd make guacamole for Mother.
And then some people will take their instant tea because we weren't ready, and do you have any tea? No, we just have cold drinks. Well, can I bring my tea? Yeah, sure. So they bring that in instant tea with lemons and everything because we were not prepared for that. But little by little, thanks to everybody, you all, and so many people, wonderful people here in Muleshoe that have helped us and made it go. Yeah,
I remember we had a KMUL Christmas party there.
Oh, yeah.
And Jesse put on you probably put on the white tablecloths, and but he acted like he did it all.
Yeah. He was a hard worker, Pobrecito. Yeah, he was. He loved doing it and greeting people and being there for everybody. He was always in the front and I was always in the back. We both of us worked at it for many years. And I want to thank the people in Muleshoe for still being with us. And I really appreciate them. And now that my kids took over, I thank them for still supporting us the way they do.
They certainly have. Yeah. And sometimes you would close for a week in the summer, and all we had to do was just announce, Jesse's open.
and boy, the line at the restaurant, yeah, we'd close during the summer for
Christmas.
And Christmas for 2 years. 2 weeks to take the kids on vacation because we couldn't do it any other time, So.
And you were closed on Mondays.
On Mondays, we're closed on Mondays. Yes. But sometimes we work harder on Mondays than we did during the day because we had the merchandise coming in and we had to go empty the aisles to the deals and get prepared for the next day. But it was okay. The kids really grew up helping us, and if it hadn't been for them, I don't think we could have. Well, we probably would have made it, but they were a lot of help to us during all those years that they were here in Muleshoe and in school. After school, they had to make tortillas and wait table. Laura was running the cash register when she was 9 years old. Alma sometimes says, "Mother, you work us to the bone." I said, "Well, it didn't hurt you, did it?" But she was just kidding.
And something I was thinking about in that first place, or the second place actually, down at Mr. Millen's warehouse, you would stick your hand down into the Coke box and that ice and bring up all kinds of goodies like a Coca-Cola or a knee-high grape.
Yeah, orange. Yeah, what was the name of the orange? Coca-Cola and all that. That's from the box. Yeah,
that's a wonderful memory too.
Wonderful, beautiful, beautiful memories I have from Muleshoe. Beautiful, beautiful memories, and I think I'm going to stay here until the good Lord has me here, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay in Muleshoe.
Absolutely. Yeah. We want you to stay.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
And we've been talking with our 2016 Mrs. Santa that you, our listeners, elected as Mrs. Santa. And I just cannot tell you how many telephone calls that we got. And everybody seemed like they had to vote for Irma Leal. But we had other ladies nominated too, and they got a lot of votes too. You got to run for your money. Yeah. Rowena Myers and Mrs. Ray, Rosa Ray, and Evanelle Dale. And also, you are being sponsored by the Dinner Bell Cafe, and also you get 2 meals for 2 at the Dinner Bell, and this wonderful basket of goodies from K&K Pharmacy here in Muleshoe. Irma Leal, Mrs. Santa.